Hello, everyone. It's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to Wasteland Talks, my weekly talk show where I talk about whatever the hell I want. And this week, we're doing a classic review of Fu Panda from 2008, directed by Mark Osborne and John Stevenson. And we're doing this in honor of Kung Fu Panda 4 coming out in theaters. And joining me is my friend Dave. Dave, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me and for watching the movie with me.
Yes, we this came about because last weekend we watched the first two Kung Fu Panda movies because Dave hadn't seen them, and it was definitely always a great time rewatching them. But Dave, what were your general thoughts on Kung Fu Panda?
So, obviously, going in, first time seeing it, the biggest thing that I was excited to see was Jack Black as the main character, Poe, and he certainly did not disappoint.
Yep.
It was just the whole way through, just his classic style of comedy
Mhm.
and, even just the character of Poe, just bringing him to life and just the excitement that he brings to him and, you know, how he wants to get into kung fu and he's just kind of thrust into this role all of a sudden and just like that whole hero's journey he goes through just kind of he kind of has this feeling of looking like a bumbling idiot a lot of the time, but at the same time he has a lot of heart and perseverance and it's just a fun time watching him go through that whole journey from start to finish.
Absolutely. Like this, Kung Fu Panda is just a vehicle for Jack Black to be Jack Black. And even in an interview recently, he said being Poe is just basically being him.
Yep.
Like he has that same kind of lovable energy. He has that fixation, like Jack Black loves metal and music and stuff like that. And Poe's just super all about kung fu. And him worshiping the Furious Five and just wanting to be a kung fu master. And then when Master Oogway just is like, you are the dragon warrior. And then Poe gets to go on this great journey. And you get to see plenty of training montages of especially him looking really, really bad at it, but never giving up. And that's the most important thing about Poe is throughout this whole entire thing, he never gives up. And I love the dynamic between him and Shifu, played by Dustin Hoffman, who's just such a grumpy little red panda. So grumpy. And he he spent his whole entire life trying to train the Dragon Warrior. And he just does not like the fact that like Poe's supposed to be the Dragon Warrior. And I think the moment that they have such great parallel arc because the moment that Shifu finally realizes that he can't train Poe the same way he trains every other warrior. You have to find your warrior strengths. And that whole entire moment where Poe just like ransacking the kitchen and like eats everything and he's like, Master Monkey keeps his cookies on the top shelf. And then him just parkour to the top to eat the cookies. And then everything after that, those that one training montage with the dumplings where Po is doing basically Po Fu. It's his form of Kung Fu. And him and Shifu just have this amazing play fight scene trying to get that dumpling, and it's absolutely amazing.
That was one of the best scenes of the movie. Just like from that moment where Shifu has that realization of what he needs to do in order to
Mhm.
train Poe after struggling so long to accept him and figure out how he could possibly train him. And then,
Mhm.
I think that was just like the funniest thing that they could have done too is to just show how he's food motivated and turn that into his own unique, unorthodox kung fu style that
Yes.
just works for him so well and like completely throws off everybody else that sees him use it.
Exactly. It's food foo. Just like the whole like the chopstick fight between the two of them, just trying to get that dumpling is so good. And Jack Black is so committed and such high energy that Poe always feels like a fun time. And there's so much heart in this story too, because like you have his whole relationship with Mr. Ping, his dad. was a duck and voiced by James Hong. And he just, you have the noodle dream. And that whole entire dynamic, and like, I can attest, I've had to have a discussion with my mother about not going into what she expected me to go into. It's like, well, mom, I'm not going to become an accountant. And like that conversation's hard. And it's hard for parents to let go of those expectations too. And Ping just wants him to be a good noodle boy and run the business with his dad, but he wants to be a kung fu master. And I just love the dynamic between the two of them. It's the heart of the film. And James Hong, despite the fact that like he's like, how old is he now? He was born in 1929. He's 95 years old now, and he's still doing it and still acting and still doing great stuff.
Yeah, I think too, like even towards the end of the movie, I love when it came together where like Poe goes home basically feeling defeated after he fulfills this prophecy and tries to read the dragon scroll and he doesn't understand what it means and
Mhm.
just that simple message his dad gives him when he gets home where he explains how you know like this the special ingredient in the food that he makes is like there really is no special ingredient. It's just you make something special out of it yourself.
He's the special. It's like the Lego movie. We're all the special. And to be fair, it is Lego movie kind of has the same exact basic idea as this. But like that idea of like the Dragon Warriors in you. And that's such a great universal message. And I feel like that's one of the reasons that like this one kind of stands out among like other kids' movies is like this has some like really poignant and really relatable themes for anybody. They're universal, whether you're a kid or an adult. We all have like the amount of people I see talking about imposter syndrome. Uh, like go watch Kung Fu Panda. It's just like the special is in you. You are the one that brings what you bring to the table, and that's what makes you special. And that's a hard pill to swallow for so many characters in this movie, but it is not a hard pill to swallow for Uwe, who is my favorite character in this movie. Master Uwe, played by Randall Duck Kim, is so good. I love him so much. And that might be why he's one of the reasons why this is still my favorite, the first one, is because just his presence as this old sassy tortoise is just so good. And I just love his dynamic with Shifu. I love his dynamic with Poe. And he really helps bring the most out of everyone. And I love like even like fast forward to Kung Fu Panda 4, like the fact that Poe is moving towards that role really makes it come full circle. There's so many references in the fourth Kung Fu Panda movie back to this one. It's kind of it's like a kind of rehash of the journey. It's just that Poe is now in the Shifu role of the whole situation. But like I just love Master Uwe so much. He's so chill. And I love his poetry of talking about everything. And you can just tell he has so much fun with Shifu, especially because he wants like concrete answers, and Uguay's just like, no, you won't get it.
I love when they're like trying to pick who the next Dragon Warrior is going to be, and then Poe just comes rocketing in off some
Yes.
fireworks, and Oogway's like, "Oh, it's him. This is the Dragon Warrior," and Shifu's like, "That can't possibly be correct." He's like, "Nope, it's him," and Shifu is just like livid about that
It's like, he
decision.
was here by accident. There are no accidents. Uguay is so zen and chill about everything and just goes with the flow. And also, yes, that was a really funny scene with Poe desperately trying to get into the temple because every time and honestly, the most relatable part of this movie is him not being able to get up those steps. Because I feel
Yes,
that way every single day that I go to work and have to climb up to the top of my building. Those steps. I'm just like, yep, that's me. Oh,
We've all felt that pain.
Poe is us, all of us. It's just all of us. And obviously you have the Furious Five, which like realistically fun to do in this. But it is a lot of fun. Like probably Tigress gets the most, and Angelina Jolie is like bitingly cruel to Poe. Because like he's supposed to be air quotes the Dragon Warrior. She seems like she would be the one to be the Dragon Warrior. And then you have like Jackie Chan as Monkey, Seth Rogen as Mantis, Lucy Liu as Viper, David Cross as Crane. And I feel like they all get little moments to shine and do their thing. And I think their biggest spotlight in the film is when they get to fight Tai Long on that bridge. I have to say, the action sequences in this movie rival some of the best action sequences in live action movies, period. Like the action in these movies is so good, and that fight that the Furious Five has against Tai Lung on that bridge is so cool. And it just the action sequences in this movie are worth watching it.
Yeah, like that, and even like the fight at the end between Poe and Tai Long, or even the one leading up to it between Shifu and Tai Long.
Yep.
Just just like the whole choreography of it all is just like beautiful to watch. And again, like I love at the end when like Poe masters his unique style, and it's like a perfect counter to Tai Lung because he's like
Mhm.
so used to like fighting traditional kung fu masters, and like everything he tries just doesn't work because it's just like so out of left field to him.
Well, and one of the best parts of this movie is Tai Lung. These movies, most of them have such great villains. And Tai Lung's such a great villain because he is the product of Chifu's failure coming back. And like this is a great example of your villain being a foil of your hero. Because Poe fights with passion and love and just channeling just the love for kung fu. Like that's why he does it, and he wants to do it for good. And Tai Lung does it because he wants the status, he wants to be the Dragon Warrior, and he fights with anger and aggression. And he's a snow leopard, and he's scary. And Ian McShane is so good at voicing this character. Like they set Tai Lung up so well to be this badass villain because you see him escape this prison and there's no way he should be able to escape this prison with all of these guards and everything. And the way that he just manipulates physics and just straight up destroys like dozens and dozens of adversaries. And you're like, oh, this guy's dangerous. And then, of course, you have the fight on the bridge where he takes out the whole entire Furious Five. But no, and he takes out Shifu. But it is the best part of this movie is when they finally come to blows. Tai Lung and Poe, and because Poe does such a unique fighting style, like when he's up on those stilts and he's playing the bowl game, like he did earlier with the dumpling, and trying to hide the scroll, and it's just it's so great. And him doing his cookie parkour to get up to the scroll at one point and him using his belly, like just absorbing punishment or just like swallowing the slow motion where he straight up sits on Tai Lung's head, like flying down the steps. And that's the thing too, because it's hilarious, it's fun, and it's great action. It's very much in the style of like Jackie Chan, who could do the humor and the fighting all at once. It's also very fitting Jackie Chan's in this movie. And then, oh, it gets me every time where he has him and he's like, douche. The skadoosh gets me every time. Every single time that he wins a battle, big battle, skadoosh. It's just so fitting. And it's such a wonderful, funny, adventurous, thrilling movie. Such great action and tons of heart. And, Poe's one of us. We love Poe. And if you don't, you're a jerk. So there you go.
I'd like to say too, on a side note, how impressive it was for DreamWorks to come up with, this incredible new IP after, I think this was after they pumped out a few of the Shrek movies. So, it's really hard to follow up something as big as Shrek. So for them to come in and create like this whole new franchise, which, at the time we didn't know how like the long legs it was going to have, but at this
Mhm.
point there's now four movies. They've done series that are like I see there's one on Netflix right now.
It
Like,
has it's got 3 seasons.
yeah,
Like,
like this turned into a whole big successful franchise, and I feel like maybe not all of them are like of equal quality, but all of them are like solid in their own right. Like I've only watched the movie so far, but I enjoyed every single one of them.
yeah, the show's fun. It doesn't capture the same kind of magic. And the newest one, I didn't love as much, but like the original trilogy of these movies, I love to pieces. All
Yeah,
of them are so good. It's made over $600 million worldwide. And what's crazy is China was actually really upset about this movie because they're like, how did a bunch of Americans do better about Chinese culture in an animated movie than us? And then, of course, they made a rip off of it because there's no copyright laws in China. So, but like, it's, it really captures the spirit of it. It's beautifully animated. And not gonna lie, I wish they had more of the 2D animation style that they throw into these movies because
yeah.
it's gorgeous.
They could
And
just do a whole movie like that, and it would be amazing.
it's just like, stop teasing us. Not that, and it's not that like the CGI does, like the computer generated animation doesn't look good either. Like this is still a beautiful looking film, but like that the 2D animation looks so cool. It'd feel like Samurai Jack or something like that if they did something, and especially like the second one when they leverage that animation style, that looks so cool because they're actually like sequences in it. But no, this I love these movies. I love Poe. He's one of my favorite animated characters. Actually, probably one of my favorite characters, period. And I just love Jack Black so much. And this was like made for him. This was like the vehicle for him, which I think DreamWorks does a good job of finding that because like Mike Myers is perfect at Shrek. I know Chris Farley was supposed to be Shrek originally, but like that would have been just like Chris. That would have basically just been Chris Farley acting as Chris Farley. Shrek actually feels like a character Mike Myers is putting together. But like this feels so Jack Black all the way through. And you can tell he has such a blast. And like each one of them, like this one had Kung Fu Fighting covered by CeeLo Green and Jack Black. And now we get Baby One More Time by Tenacious D, which has been a treasure. And I don't know how many times I've listened to it since it's dropped on Spotify, but it's a lot. The answer is a lot. And it'll probably be in my Spotify roundup wrap up at the end of the year. I can almost guarantee it. But no, this movie I love to pieces. It's so much fun. I'm glad that they continue to make them. I hope that they like I did enjoy the fourth one, didn't love the fourth one. I feel like it kind of lost a little bit of the magic. I definitely felt the Furious Five missing because like that team aspect. And
Yeah.
I think the challenging thing is Aquafina's at a point where she's so oversaturated that like either you really enjoy Aquafina or you don't.
She
And
is
there's a
in like
lot of people,
everything now.
and I feel like there's a lot of people who do not like Aquafina at this point. But no, and these are legitimately some of the best action movies. Like, and I'm not even being like best animated action movies, like actual action movies. The martial arts stuff is so much fun in this. So if you haven't seen Kung Fu Panda, what are you waiting for? It's playing on Peacock right now because DreamWorks is owned by Universal. So it's on Peacock. So you can head on over and watch it on Peacock. But Dave, do you have any final thoughts on Kung Fu Panda?
I would just say that all of the movies are very entertaining. They all are paced very well.
Mhm.
And, I'm glad I finally got around to watching them. And for whatever reason, you're like me and haven't gotten around to watching them yet, do yourself a favor and just go watch them. Because as soon as I watched the first one, I was like all in and just wanted to watch all of them in a row after that.
And then Dave did. I noped out after the first two, but Dave finished them. So, but, but thank all of you out there for listening. And just remember, we're all kung fu fighting. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.